Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 4 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Spitfire SMG, and this is one of my favorite weapons in the game, and it's one of the few good SMGs, so I will actually have good positive things to say about this weapon, unlike the other SMG episodes, because, well, SMGs are in a rough spot right now in Black Ops 4, let's be honest about it, but the gameplay you may have noticed is not from me. The gameplay is from J-Hub. Unfortunately, when you're watching this video, I'm probably either in Sweden or on my way flying there, so I didn't have time to get this. The next couple of episodes are all going to have gameplay from J-Hub. He's covering for me while I'm out doing some other things, so thank you, J-Hub. And if you want to see some real sweaty boy gameplay and streams, he is linked down there below in the description. But let's move along with the in-depth episode. The Spitfire SMG's damage is a little bit lower than most of the other ones. It'll deal 27 damage up close, and that's very close. Quickly decrease down to 23 damage, then 21, and finally all the way down to 18. What this means for you is that, like most of the other submachine guns in the game, it'll take between 6 and 9 shots to kill, depending on how far away you are from the enemy. Headshots are only worth 1.1x bonus damage, so generally I don't think they're worth going for. At no range or distance is this going to significantly impact your time to kill, and it's often going to be a detriment considering the extremely high recoil on the weapon, which we'll talk about in a second. But the recoil is so high because the Spitfire's rate of fire is 1,060 rounds per minute, which is insanely fast, and as far as I'm aware, it's the fastest firing fully automatic weapon in the game, and near to the fastest firing weapon just period. That is ludicrously fast. Black Ops 4 and a lot of recent Call of Duty games have started going back with like slower time to kills and slower firing weapons. This one is not the case. That is much more on track with the Vesper or the Scorpion from Black Ops games past. However, you can equip the Wildfire operator mod on this weapon, which increases your rate of fire up to a colossal 1,490 rounds per minute, or the easiest way to remember it is about 1,500 RPM, which is just mind-meltingly fast, and this actually is the fastest rate of fire in the game. This is just nothing, none of the burst rifles, nothing gets any faster than this. This puts lead downstream like nothing else. However, do keep in mind that this operator mod comes with three big drawbacks technically. Number one is that your recoil is very greatly increased. Number two is they added a movement penalty, so you can't strafe very much when you're shooting. And of course, number three, you're going to burn an entire extended mags in like a fraction of a second, so it's kind of an ammo eater. Obviously, with the rate of fire, the Spitfire's time to kill is very fast, even without the operator mod, and that's really what makes the weapon great, and that's sort of the crux of this in-depth episode and why it's a little shorter than usual, is it just kills people really fast because it puts a lot of bullets out really fast. But other than that, there's a lot of things bad about the Spitfire. The maximum damage range is about 5 meters, which is way less than shotgun range. It's just basically point-blank range. Anything outside of that, you're going to be dealing less damage, and the recoil is trash. Like, let's be honest, this probably has the worst recoil of any weapon in the game. You didn't need me to tell you that, but that's the nature of the high rate of fire weapons. It does have super good hipfire. The hipfire box is about the same as other submachine guns, but the high rate of fire makes it easy to use. However, it's especially good if you equip Laser Sight or Laser Sight 2. Laser Sight 2 gives you the nice bonus of having no difference in your hipfire box no matter how much you jump or duck or slide or do advanced movements. So that's really neat. When it comes to magazines, I personally prefer extended mags over fast mags. I would rather have an extra 20-ish rounds in my magazine to spray at people than I would just reload it faster, though this is a personal preference thing. It just depends on you. Some people like the fast reloads. They don't really matter as much to me because I usually use this weapon to try to pick one person at a time. It does have a quick draw grip, so we'll take a look at aim down sight's time. That's 250 milliseconds like most of the SMGs and other rifles. With the quick draw grip, it'll be 180 milliseconds, and since you're going to be hip firing this weapon so much, I would generally say is not worth, but you can put it on there if you want to. Reload time's a little bit on the slower side with the base reload of 1.5 seconds. That's enough to get you killed if you reload at an inopportune time. Fast mags almost cuts that in half at 1.82 seconds, so very impressive with fast mags. Again, I prefer extended. Fast is fine. It's just Coke or Pepsi, you know. Thankfully, the Spitfire does allow for the FMJ attachment. Given the low damage of the weapon, I believe that you're really going going to need FMJ, because at that low damage, it's going to get even further reduced by armor, so you'll be dealing like 8, 9, 10 damage shots and really frustrating things like that. But on top of that, the damage that you deal to the armor will be so low, the armor will last for 4, 5, or 6 shots, which can be incredibly frustrating. So having FMJ on this weapon allows you to completely penetrate the armor and break it on your first shot, which is incredibly valuable. My overall opinion of the Spitfire SMG is that this is a very viable SMG if you use it aggressively and treat it like a shotgun. It's nearly identical performance-wise to the Vesper from Black Ops 3, or to the little WAF from World War II, which is more recent, or to the Scorpion from Black Ops 2. It's just a bullet hose gun. There have been a lot of these in Call of Duty, and I think you guys know how to use them. My personal favorite setup on the weapon is a very simple one. I like using laser sight, extended mags, and FMJ. It's a little bit attachment heavy, but laser sight gives me slightly better hip fire, extended mags lets me spray longer, and FMJ allows me to not have to worry about armor users, and given how I'm going to use it, it also lets me kind of spray corners a little bit too, which is valuable. I don't think the weapon really needs optics or that many attachments, but there is an also acceptable, albeit point-heavy setup, which is you run the Wildfire operator mod to give yourself ludicrous rate of fire. You're going to utterly have to have extended mags on this one. Fast mags isn't going to do it. It has to be extended because you'll dump your whole mag almost instantly. And at least laser sight 1, if not laser sight 1 and 2 for just maximum hip fire. That's a very fun class, but you have to sacrifice a lot of perks and secondary weapons to use it. And finally, a brief discussion about the weapon in Blackout. I do think that the Spitfire is a good weapon in Blackout. I've been making it a point to use it a little bit more, but it's only good in super close quarters combat. It's sort of a shotgun alternative. It's a point-blanking kind of weapon. It's going to be very miserable to use, and I strongly would not recommend it at range. So overall, I really like the Spitfire SMG. I think it's a good weapon, and I think if you like to play aggressively and rush and do the sort of bullet hose spray and pray tactic, it'll work really well for you. And the Spitfire is one of the few weapons that are viable in both multiplayer and Blackouts. It's a little bit unique in that respect. Guys, that's all for this shorter in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.